the proper preview of the weekend's WBA heavyweight title fight between Londoners David Haye and Audley Harrison, with a unique look back at their days and nights together as the best of friends, and certainly not the best of enemies, as they most certainly are now. Now, they fought together, side by side, stayed in the same hotels in various places all over the globe. Now, my man with the amateurs, Ron Brody, was there a lot of the time, and I'm delighted to say that that Ron joins me now. Ron, good evening.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Now, some people have dared to tell me they don't believe these two guys have fallen out and that they were that close. Now, that's absolute garbage.
They've definitely fallen out, but they were very close. Half the time, they used to share a hotel bedroom because, you know, with amateur boxing, it's two people to a room, end of story.
Yeah, and also they had the same taste. They liked the same kind of things. They were both big enough.
And they were the two outsiders as well, because they were both very set in their ways of how they should do things. So they were a little bit of a test for the coaches, because they had their own agendas and their own ways of wanting to train. And the coaches, Ian Irwin and that, had to sort of work a little bit round them.
They weren't necessarily outcast, though, were they? But they were just a little bit...
No.
They like to do things their way.
Yeah.
Now, they were real... I mean, Ron, let's talk first, if we can, about, say, Kuala Lumpur. David didn't make Kuala Lumpur, but Audley did. You were out there with Audley. But within a team, within a GB team, Audley, as much as he was an outsider, he did also lift the other fighters, didn't he?
He was the team leader. Absolutely. He insisted that they all dye their hair bright gold, which they did do.
Yeah.
And they all had ridiculous haircuts, but they all dyed their hair bright gold, and they had a real team spirit, and that was largely down to Audley Harrison. And Audley in big tournaments wouldn't brook any idea of, you know, we're going to come second or we're going to do well. It was totally about winning. And yeah. Audley was 100% sure he was going to win gold. And there were a couple of useful guys in there.
What's interesting, really, is that the attitude that the amateurs have got now, and it's a winning attitude. Really, I trace it back to Audley, because before Audley we'd have the occasional good, excellent fighter, brilliant fighter.
Somebody like Peter Richardson, who was pretty confident.
Exactly, back in 1992. But
exactly.
I'm talking here about Audley changing the whole way we looked at things and the whole way our team looked at things, and we suddenly went from being whipping boys all over the world to having a bit of attitude. And I think Audley deserves some credit for that. But let's talk about a day when
Steve, that's a very good pick, and that's absolutely true. As much as people wouldn't like to admit it, that is very much the case. Audley turned up to win, and he made sure the rest of the boys thought the same way. Now,
the one time when both of us were out in Houston for the World Championships, 1999, when they both could have won, let's get that right.
Yep.
I think they let the pair of us down out there, didn't you? That's how I feel. I don't know. I've never really asked you how you feel about that. Do you feel they let us down out there?
Absolutely, definitely. I mean, Audley lost to Sunil San, the Turk. If anyone had come in the last round, and it was 5 rounds in those days, Audley was knocking lumps out of Sam, but he didn't start boxing till the last round.
That's right.
Won that bout easily.
And
you were furious, I know.
I was furious. And David lost to Michael Sim. Now, both Sim and Samuel Sam went on to win the gold medals at the World Championships.
Correct. And David just didn't do enough against him. They were both trying to steal the fight, which isn't a David Haye way of doing things, actually. But on that night, it was.
Yeah, I think they'd both been out clubbing, and I don't think they deny that. And I think it's disgraceful. Listen, they're both doing okay now. Ron, talk to me about the qualifiers for the Olympics, because they were both involved, but only one of them managed to get there.
Correct, Steve. 2000, Halle in Germany. Audley was under a lot of pressure because he told everyone he was going to the Olympics. I'm going to win the Commonwealth gold. I'm going to win the Olympic gold. It was last chance saloon for him, and he breezed through it. He was so in control out there. It was amazing. I mean, he really was on the top of his game, and he just controlled every bout. He controlled every round of every bout, and knew 100% what he was doing. David Haye was in a league of his own out there, just bashing people up for fun. He gets Fragomeni, He beats Fragomeni from here to Land's End and back again, and they give it to Fragomeni. Yeah. But because the points were coming up in the round, after 2 rounds, David should have been that far ahead that he would have been out of sight. He realised they had no intention of scoring for him, so Haye dropped his hands down to his knees, stuck his head forward, trying to get Fragomeni to lead, and then trying to knock Fragomeni out with single shots, which is what he did for 2 rounds. Then the last round, he just bashed Fragomeni up. But, you know, I mean, the crowd hissed and booed the decision. It was disgraceful.
Yeah. And he did bash Fragomeni up as a pro, so he got a degree of revenge. They're both now friends. And then David didn't get another chance. And, in fact, Courtney Fry ended up going to the Olympics. And David
what it was is that a free deal had been done. The ABA always had the feeling that David Haye was going to turn pro on them at any stage.
Lead them in the bad place.
Yeah, they were afraid of investing time in him because they always thought any moment he's going to turn professional and we will have wasted our effort. And his actual career shows different to that because, as you know, he stayed on till 2002 when he could have turned pro, you know, any time he'd wanted, really. But he was determined to do something serious as an amateur.
Yeah, he could have turned before winning the World Silver. He could have turned after failing at the Worlds. He could have turned after failing to reach Olympics. Ron, just finally, if I can leave you with this thought. So that ding, it's 10:15, Saturday night. Out comes David Haye. Out comes Audley. How does the fight go, Ron, in your head? You've seen them spar, you've seen them eat together, you've seen them you've seen them sleeping together. You probably had to go in and wake them up in the past. So how does this fight end?
It's a really intriguing contest. There's a pattern in both of their amateur careers. Harrison's career is where he's had a terrible performance and then really good performances.
Yep.
You've never known quite when they're coming. Haye's career is such that he tends to do things against adversity. He's always getting injured. Don't be surprised if David has a sore arm, you know, gets a bad arm or something like that in this contest. He does tend to get injured, David. I see David coming out looking to pick his punches and to hit very hard early doors. Audley will just trying to think, let's try and get through 3 or 4 rounds, keep him on the end of a jab, walk him onto a left hand and knock him out.
No, I think that's... You fancy Audley?
No, I don't. I fancy David.
Fancy David.
I think David will not let Audley beat him.
Listen, Ron, it's been a pleasure talking to you. We'll speak to you later on. Ron Brody, thanks very much.
Cheers, Steve.